recording 15-minute interview. You guys, man, thanks for staying up with us. For everybody who has been checking out 15-minute interviews, I really hope you're benefiting. And if you're not benefiting, I hope you're passing it so that somebody else can benefit. I think that that's probably the big deal, is that somebody somewhere needs to know about what's out there for them. And what I'll tell you guys, and I think I remind this to all of us frequently, is that they might not come to you and tell you that they need some kind of support or some kind of help. It might not be something to where they're going to be in a position in their life where they can come say, hey, you know what, I need help. But they might be on social media and you've shared something like a 15-minute interview and they're like, dang, that's the help I need, and I'm going to go get it. Good thing it came to me. And so unselfishly share, right? Unselfishly share. It's more about, and this is not a cost thing for any of us participating. Everybody that I'm working with has volunteered their time. I'm volunteering my time. The goal that I would like to happen, it's not about money or anything like that. What it's really about is serving people and helping people get closer to the things that they need or want in their life. And so if you'll do your opportunity and share, take care of other people around you and try to help. Today we have Jessica here today, and I'm going to let Jessica introduce herself while I go over the different interview questions. Jessica, thanks for spending your time with us today. And if you can just start out by telling us who you are and where you're from.
Awesome. Excuse me. I'm Jessica Lang, and I'm originally from the Bay Area, so near Berkeley, near San Francisco in California. But I actually live in Israel right now, so I am across the water in another culture. But I still see clients online in California and also internationally.
Nice. Man, I'm so excited about that because I've told people that we are interviewing people from around the world. And
Yes.
you help keep that true for me. So we've had somebody on who was living in Canada. Now we have somebody who's in Israel. And I actually had a player this year who for my coaching in basketball, was from Israel. So I love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very good.
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, very.
It's such a small country that it's funny when people are like, oh, I know so-and-so from Israel. And I'm like, oh, Israelis don't really leave. So
yeah, it's huge. So I love that you're across the water.
Across the water.
Two ways. All right. So what is it that you do?
So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work primarily with trauma survivors, complex trauma, mostly sexual abuse survivors, children as young as 7 all the way into adulthood. Okay. That's what I do. I mean, I also work with other people too, but that's like most of the people who come to me have that, have a sexual abuse history.
Okay. So are you working for yourself or are you online? Because you are across the water. And you work
across the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my own private practice, and I decided to go online because I got the travel bug really big, and I wanted to spend my time in other countries, experiencing other cultures. I just love watching people and seeing what they do, just like the day-to-day things of going grocery shopping and how it's different than how I might do it in the States. Mm-hmm. But my passion, my love has always been therapy. Since I was 11 years old, I knew I wanted to be a therapist. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things that was like, how do I reconcile the travel bug and my desire to be somewhere else, right, but also like wanting to help people? And yeah, so how do I do that? Oh, I know. Thank you, technology. We'll see people online. So that's kind of what like brought the two together. And I'm glad that I have that privilege that I can do that, that I can have both of my loves together. And I think it makes me a better therapist. And because I see people from all walks of life, I think it's also helped me be a better therapist.
Right. Yeah, so in the midst of putting both of your loves together, being able to travel and being able to help people, what's one of the most impactful points that you make to help other people in therapy?
My biggest thing is community, is helping people find a place where they belong. I think that one of the things that happens with not just trauma, but people who suffer from depression or anxiety, or just they get knocked down in life, is that they feel alone. They feel like nobody understands them. They feel like people don't have their back. And when you're alone like that, you end up kind of getting caught up in your head and the negative cycle and the voices and the I can't do this and I'm not worthy and all that kind of stuff that kind of sweeps up and takes people away to that place of despair. When they're alone like that, it can just feel like there's no way out, right? They feel really stuck. And so I really focus on helping them find a place where they belong, where they're not alone, where they realize, oh, I'm not the only person struggling with this. You know, I'm not the only one struggling with depression, and this is what depression looks like. Or I'm not the only one who suffers from nightmares, and, you know, I have trouble with intimacy, or whatever it is. Like, I'm not alone. And because I'm not alone, I can reach out, you know, or people can see me and notice me and say, hey, you know, you're looking a little blue, what's going on? Let's go, you know, I'll come sit with you, or we'll go to the park, or whatever. You know, somebody's there to like bring them out. And they feel connected, and it gives them like a sense of hopefulness.
Right.
So that's kind of my biggest thing that I preach is community, is finding your place, finding your tribe.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's so important, because I know that even though we might push people away, or might want to say we want to be alone, I mean, connection is really a life, at least early on, is really a life or death type situation. As we grow older, I don't think that, you know, it goes far from that. So connection and being part of community or tribe, I like that.
Yeah, I'm really big on that.
Okay. So you get your knowledge from somewhere, and we want to try to capitalize on that a little bit. We want to take some of it. So any kind of recommendations for books or someone that we can follow that would be impactful for us, or podcasts and documentaries, something to help us get some knowledge like you have.
Just one person?
Whatever
Ooh.
you have.
I have two that I can't say no to either. I mean, they're both equally good.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of Bruce Perry. I feel like Dr. Bruce Perry talking about the brain, and how we all develop in this systematic way. I feel like it destigmatizes a lot of natural reactions to trauma, because it talks about the body's response to stress, and we all go through stress, and it's something we can all relate to. So I think on that realm, I love it. I absolutely love him. And then in terms of really understanding America and African Americans and our experience in America, Dr. Joy DeGruy, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. So those are my two. I can't ever, I can't choose between the two, but I think that her wisdom about, and having, I mean, and it's similar to Bruce Perry, because she talks about the genes and how they change with our experiences, and how, you know, a lot of behaviors that are seen in the African American community are related to stressors and the stress response system. So they actually kind of go together, because she's talking about the Black experience of stress and how it's related to like PTSD. And Dr. Perry talks about PTSD and trauma, right? So like together you can kind of see, oh, you know, that's hypervigilance, or, you know, oh, that's, you know, these things that we do as African Americans were because we needed to be kept safe by our parents because slavery, et cetera, et cetera. And now they've like developed into maladaptive patterns, and we don't know where they've come from. But you read it and you're like, oh, that makes sense. So without going all into it, those are my go-to people.
Well, we're about to get into it, because I have some questions now that you brought up some impactful people. And so you talked earlier about trauma, and then now we're talking about, you know, the body and how that's working with trauma. So and this is a question, you know, I think we could just discuss it for a second, is, you know, as our bodies change, what besides community, because that's something that you were mentioning earlier, what besides community helps for us to be able to reverse our new course, or not to reverse our new course, but to get on a new course, even though our genes have changed, and and obviously we were talking about the African American experience whenever we were talking about Dr. DeGroot, but also now with people in general, everybody across the board, anytime there's trauma, the same kind of situation happens. So my question to you is, besides community, what's something else that might help us to contribute to turning things around so we're not doomed because of our trauma?
Oh, that's a good question. The biggest thing for people who've experienced trauma is they become disconnected from their body. That unfortunately trauma is stored in the body. And so different sensations trigger what's called like automatic responses.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just happens because your body wants to protect itself and wants to stay safe. So, if you were hit a lot as a child, we'll use physical abuse as an example. The sound of somebody screaming can trigger that response in your body, like, oh my God, I'm about to get hit. And then you either get ready to fight, or you kind of freeze, or you go and you kind of hide. And those are just natural reactions. And so kind of slowing down, being able to get what we call like the frontal cortex, the like top part of your brain online, is key. So that can be done by, doing yoga, just to be attuned to the way your body moves differently and like how it feels. That's probably the biggest one, is just kind of how does your body move and feel. And as you're talking about things, we can make these links between, oh, this is the past, this is the present, this is how I can respond. It's not, this thing over here is not like this thing that happened back here. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So
totally.
like it's a lot of kind of training, like retraining the body and retraining the connections in the brain.
Right. Okay. I always think that, somehow we have to recreate a different picture about what's going to happen now in those circumstances, right? Like it's not just what we experienced in the past, but now there's a new way of being able to experience this. And so I'm guessing that yoga is something that gives us the ability to be more present and know what it is that we're experiencing in that moment, so that it's not just triggering what has happened in the past.
Exactly. And like mindfulness also is really helpful. Prayers, anything that just kind of slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being in the context of like a trusting, safe relationship where, maybe your therapist says something and your natural reaction might be to go off on them, but your therapist stays there with you and can like kind of walk you through it and walk you back in a way that a friend or a coworker is not going to do if you go off on them. They're going to be like, F you, but y'all are going to get into it.
Right.
And it just raises, like keeps you stressed. It keeps you up here. But if you're with a therapist and you kind of get agitated, she notices, or he notices, oh, you're getting agitated. I noticed this happened, blah, blah, blah. And so they break it down, that helps the person also get in touch with their body, because they're like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing what's happening. And this person's not running away scared. They're like working with me. So I can see a change.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of being able to go through it and experience it differently, right? Instead of just fight or freeze. Okay.
Exactly.
So to close out our meeting together, which has been really cool, can you either tell us a story or give our audience some kind of challenge or homework that they can take home? You can do both, or you can choose one. Up to you.
Choose a story or a challenge. I kind of want to do a challenge.
Okay, let's give it.
I like a challenge. Okay. I would say pick something that you really want to change. Just one thing. So I'll give an example. Let's say you want to be better with finances. So notice kind of what happens when you check your bank account. Check what happens when you impulsively spend. Like just kind of tuning in and into like how you're feeling during those different moments, and kind of journal it out and see if you can pick out any themes, right? So for a lot of people, they're kind of avoidant, and so they won't look at their bank account. Like, I have no money, I don't even want to look at it. And then all of a sudden it's like they've got all this debt. So the challenge is like every day look at your bank account and write how you feel, as you're looking at the money that's there or not there. So something like that. I don't know. That's kind of, I'm not very good at that, but yeah, it's a
No, that's
challenge.
no, that's a really good challenge because I know, like in the leadership things that I do, like they always talk about stretching yourself and getting in your comfort zone in order for your growth to happen. And so that's a huge piece is to stare at that ugly, what you would think is a big old monster in the closet, right in the face, and make sure that you are not just fearing it because you're creating this big old thing, but you're looking at it and seeing exactly what it is so you can deal with it. And the dealing with it really is inside of you, right? Like it's
Yeah.
checking
You
out how
gotta get a little uncomfortable. You have to get a little uncomfortable.
you got to pass
You'll
through.
be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I think if anybody's willing to take that challenge on, they definitely would see benefits in the area that they pick and choose. Okay. All right,
Right.
Jessica, thanks for spending some time with me today. I'm glad that we were able to make online. Everybody can't see that we had a hard time getting on this, but now they know because I just put it out there and we made it happen, right? That's all that
Made
matters.
it happen. We
That's
worked it out.
that's right. So thanks for spending time with me. I appreciate it. Okay.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. For everybody watching 15-minute interviews, just kind of know that these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about that we have to be willing to share with somebody. If somebody has been in trauma situations, which I would say that a lot of us have, at least they just got some nuggets on a starting point for how to approach or what's out there and how comfortable it could be or you can get to being able to process and participate in doing something differently in your life. So please be willing to share 15-minute interviews. And we'll be doing it every Wednesday and Friday at 6:30. There's a release for a new one. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.